Order. The final item of business today is a members' business debate on motion number 7225 in the name of Karen Gillon on WRVS Clydesdale Community Transport and Good Neighbours project. This debate will be concluded without any question being put. Those members who wish to speak in the debate, please press the request to speak buttons, and I call on Karen Gillon to open the debate.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. Can I begin by thanking the 47 members from across the Chamber who have signed this motion and pay tribute to the thousands of people who give their time and talents to support the invaluable work of organisations like the WRVS in my own constituency and in constituencies across Scotland. I am sorry that the volunteers couldn't manage here today for today's debate, but given the weather and road conditions, they are probably better equipped than us to stay in their own homes in the safety and warmth rather than make the journey through. I'm sure they'll be listening in. Indeed, this debate could hardly come at a more appropriate time, as many of the most vulnerable people in the communities we represent find themselves increasingly isolated and dependent on neighbours, friends and those working in projects like the Good Neighbours project in Clydesdale to enable them to get access to food, medicines and other essentials in this winter weather. And I think we should all be grateful to them for the job that they are doing. Clydesdale is a rural constituency, and that brings with it many benefits, but it also brings with it many challenges. As more and more people live longer, then we need to face up to the challenges that brings. By 2031, there will be 1.31 million Scots at or above the state pension age, an increase of around 35%. That's indeed a sobering thought, but those are people who don't want to be stuck in their own homes when the sun's shining outside, never mind when there's a foot of snow outside. The project in Clydesdale helps older people living in rural communities who don't have access to public transport or a private car and find it very difficult to engage in community life. That service does enable them to retain the independence that they want and live active lives within their communities. I saw that first-hand myself recently when I went on a journey with them through my constituency, visiting various villages, picking up women as we went and ending up in the local leisure centre at Colburn. The women, it would be fair to say, were of the more mature end of the age spectrum, but they could certainly put me to shame in their weekly fitness regime that saw them swimming and attending the gym because of the project. They were able to access it, so they took up the opportunity. They were keeping fit, keeping themselves well, but at the same time keeping in touch with friends and getting out and about. On other days, the bus is used to take people to the ever-popular Lanark market, where they can buy and access fresh fruit and vegetables, again helping their diet and supplementing their income as well. At the moment, they also provide a service to local nursing homes, sheltered housing and other community groups. The service takes referrals from other organisations and health professionals. They run a pre-bookable door-to-door time-bound service. Volunteers drive their own cars, providing safe and comfortable transport. Over time, that has become ever more important as the ambulance service struggled to provide perhaps the level of service in rural constituencies for patient transport services in my own area that I would like to see. And many of the journeys that perhaps before would have been undertaken by the ambulance service are now taken over by projects like this. When you think that a journey by public transport from Lesmahago to an appointment at Monklands Hospital would take you 2 hours on a good day, then you'll see how important that service is. From a village like Douglas, it would be even longer. So increasingly they are filling the gap. And given that it's the Health Minister that's responding to the debate, I do think it's worth looking at how these projects can be better integrated into the delivery of these kind of patient transport services, because it might be a better, more effective, best value use of resources if they could be supported, particularly in rural communities where the Scottish Ambulance Service are finding it increasingly difficult to meet their obligations. Volunteers are able to offer support from the door of the house to wherever you're going, and that's increasingly important for people. People talk to me about the benefits they gain with the chat that they have with the volunteer drivers, the input that they have to their lives. And I think that's really, really important as we see people becoming more and more isolated sometimes in communities if they don't have that kind of responsible community approach to how people get out and about. WRVS research shows that local authorities' social care budgets must often be targeted at those older people in most immediate need because they are at critical or substantial risk. That is despite the most recent national eligibility criteria produced by the Scottish Government also advocating a strong preventative approach. When we know that research shows that every pound spent on preventative social care services for older people bring about a saving to the NHS of £1.20, then that is something that we do need to look at much more closely. The cost of providing social care this way means that we will need an extra £1 billion by 2016 and an extra £3.5 billion by 2031, with some estimates predicting a rise of £27 billion over the next 15 years, a period in which Scotland will have £42 billion less to spend. A challenge indeed with an increasingly ageing population. So I know that the project in Clydesdale works well. They help the most vulnerable people in the community who would otherwise not be served by transport services, people who are older, socially isolated, those with specific health needs, carers or the disabled. We need to remember that some people don't have family and friends available to provide transport, so projects like this fill the gap. They take people to hospital appointments, GP visits, they visit relatives in hospital and care homes. That's a very, very important part of life as you get older and maybe one of your partners has to, for good reason, be in hospital or in a care home, and you want to access those visiting opportunities. And they match clients to volunteers to best cater for their needs. The service not only provides transport that otherwise would not be available in our area, but they provide volunteers who know that the client gets their destination and provides support and care. In 2009, they did 2,581 car journeys and 1,128 bus journeys, totalling 1,909 volunteering hours. That's quite an achievement. Presiding Officer, we are all aware of the invaluable role that projects like these play across our constituency. I want to finish with the words of a service user, Joyce Scott, who uses the service to get out and about. She said, "The WRVS service has become invaluable in my life since my sight has started to go. My husband has been taken into hospital and the service has allowed me to visit him several times a week. It has also allowed me to lead a normal and active life in the community. That service means a lot to me. There is always a welcoming voice at the end of the phone. The staff always try their best to help, even at short notice." That's praise indeed, but that's the project that I know, and I'm sure all of you know of projects like this across your own constituency, run by volunteers. I do hope that we can move to a situation where these projects can continue to be supported and better supported in the years ahead. It's going to be increasingly challenging, but I think without them, the social fabric of our communities would be much the poorer. Thank you.